Hi, welcome to Watch It or Don't. Tom, Matt, Dan, we're all here today. It's another one of our classic reviews where we look at a movie that didn't come out this year. This one was requested by YouTube user Doom, so shout out to you for requesting this. We are doing Annie Hall. It is the classic Woody Allen movie from 1977. It won the Best Picture Oscar that year. It's probably his most well-known movie. Manhattan maybe as well.
Right.
But Annie Hall is kind of the quintessential classic Woody Allen rom-com. It stars Woody Allen basically playing himself. He plays a guy named L.V. Singer, who is he lives in New York. He's a
comedian.
He's grown up in New York. He's a comedian. He's very much Woody Allen. And if you've seen a Woody Allen movie where he plays himself, it's not really playing exactly himself.
He plays himself, though. It's kind of a character that's founded in a bunch of different neuroses and stuff, and he's just a very kind of whiny and you know, very dark, depressive, very death obsessed.
Yeah, he's a nihilist.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
says.
Half empty.
But he meets a girlfriend named Annie Hall, played by Diane Keaton. And Woody Allen kind of based this movie about his actual relationship with Diane Keaton. I think there's a lot of similarities.
But you think that'd be awkward, but it's not.
They're still friends.
They're great friends.
Yeah.
That's a great team.
And it kind of shows their life as they kind of get together, then they break up, then they get back together again, and they break up again. It's a romantic comedy, but it's not your typical rom-com as you know it today.
I feel like that kind of makes it more realistic. It's not so like glamorized. Like it is sort of like whiny. I don't know. It's more realistic.
It is. I mean, it's a very like kind of understated type movie.
Right.
It's focused mainly on the way Alvy perceives things. Yeah. And I read a interview with Woody Allen where he said that the entire purpose of the movie was about what it's like inside this man's head, and it kind of went away from that a little bit and focused a little more on the relationship between the two, but you still get a lot of that.
Yeah, he breaks the fourth wall a lot and talks to the camera about what he's feeling.
This movie has a pretty astoundingly great opening scene where it starts off and it's just him talking, kind of almost like he's doing his comedy shtick or whatever, and then he's just a talking head for a while. And then from there, it jumps into him in his classroom when he was 7 or something like that. And so, there's the little boy Alvy, and then it's the adult Alvy kind of talking and interacting with his classroom and stuff. And that's kind of one of the most brilliant things about this movie is the way he inserts himself into the past, breaks the fourth wall, and really kind of goes through it like you would almost think about it in your head.
Right. There's a lot of little things in the movie. I wouldn't call them gimmicks so much, but they kind of are a little gimmicky.
It's his shtick, if you will.
But there's little things he gets the movie director to come in and talk to the guy. It's it's hyper realism almost, but it works. I think a lot of people say this movie kind of bridges the gap between Woody Allen's early kind of comic, just screwball comedy,
which I'm a huge fan of. I'm a fan of too. Prior.
I do. I love Bananas. That's my favorite one. And then kind of his into early 80s, 90s are a little more serious. Right. And this kind of bridges the gap between them. I think it bridges it pretty well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny throughout, but there's also little hints of sadness in there as well, especially with Woody Allen's character.
Yeah, he is a very, like I said, neurotic kind of, unhappy, pessimistic character. And for me, he actually takes it a little too far. Actually, much too far.
Okay.
Where he's just too. His character is almost entirely based on being sex obsessed, and that kind of dominates his relationships with these women that you see, and it gets to the point where, while the kernel of this is based in truth that I think everyone deals with, he just takes it so far and becomes such an asshole about it that it's that ruins a lot of Annie Hall for me. Is just how much I dislike watching him as a character, and I think that's. Honestly, a lot of that's also based in what I think Woody Allen's like in real life. Okay. So
I don't think it's so much focused on sex. Would you argue with that? It's an important part of relationships, which is fair because this is all about his relationship with different women and how he kind of wants to get back with Annie, and then how things work out in real life. Sex is a big part of relationships, so I'm not shocked that is a large part of the film.
But for him, a lot of it is that's what causes problems for him. That's when he starts seeing the problems, and that's when he starts to be...
A lot of the tension between the couple, and it reminds me a lot of Ingmar Bergman's kind of tension between...
It's funny that you mention that.
Well, Bergman's a huge influence on Woody Allen, and I think I read an interview, he based a lot of his interactions based off Scenes from a Marriage, which is a Bergman TV series he did in the early 70s, and it's definitely true. Just the interaction between two people that don't necessarily hate each other, but there's obviously some animosity there, and the way that he shows that is very realistic to the way people work in the world.
I think so, yeah. I'm not a huge fan of Annie Hall, and one of the other reasons, aside from me disliking Alvy so much, is I also really dislike Annie Hall. Like, I really dislike Diane Keaton.
That's interesting.
Because, and we were discussing this a little bit, and, you guys were saying that she has an actual character arc, she does change, but I think she's just so damn dislikable.
Really?
Because, and I know that's very unpopular opinion, which I'm full of. She starts off, being so ditzy, and that's kind of her thing, and then it goes to her being kind of a mindless, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't see a lot of draw for her character.
Now, I'll disagree with you on that, because I think Annie Hall is what people really got out of this movie. People wore Diane Keaton's clothes.
Right.
She's
a lovable character.
She is. I think because Woody Allen's character is overbearing, even though you're on his side for most of the movie, it's like he's the main character, you start to feel for her too. And in a lesser movie, she might change a little bit, but then she might fall for him in the end. This is a much more intricate movie than that, where she changes to be with him, and then she realizes that maybe she doesn't really want to do that change. She goes in a different direction.
Right.
I don't want to spoil the ending exactly, but...
And most of the changes that he'd start, like, the big thing he pushes this entire movie is that she needs to go take college courses and get smarter, and then when she does, it kind of comes back to backfire on him a little bit.
I think Diane Keaton does a really good job. I know you're not going to agree with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand.
And she's in a lot of his films, and I think this is probably my favorite film that she's in with him. Yeah. I like the relationship way more than the earlier ones where it's more slapstick. Yeah. She doesn't have as much character, I typically feel.
I think a lot of it is just that each character by themselves I don't connect to, and then when they're together, I obviously don't care. It's like...
See, I'm with you on that. I think they both have a lot of flaws. And the movie doesn't shy away from those. It definitely highlights those, but it also shows they do have some strength as well. And I like how they show both.
I get that.
I like how they're people, and you can root for them, and you can root against them at the same time.
It just seems realistic. Going with that.
It does, but I think that's just...
Especially how he asks other people in some of the streets where he breaks, like, the fourth wall.
Right.
Where he asks random people on the street what he's doing wrong in the relationship. I'm like, this is, like, really neat, even though it's goofy.
That's what's good about the movie, though. Right. That's where it shines. And, I mean, the writing in the movie can be so good sometimes. And a lot of it, again, is more his absurd, like, blatant comedy stuff.
Right.
I mean, I know Matt's going to want to talk about it here, but...
Oh, my favorite, the actor that we love.
Yeah, we'll let him talk about it.
The actor that we love, that we can all agree on, Christopher Walken's scene is fantastic.
Annie Hall's brother.
Right, Annie Hall's brother. In Wisconsin. And he's got a very small part, and I learned that there's two big parts. He gives a speech that's pretty famous that you should look up, and then there's a scene after that. They supposedly cut that second scene, which totally ruins his moment, I feel like. But he's great.
And then I should mention another big cameo, Jeff Goldblum.
Right, he has a whole line of dialogue.
Very young Jeff Goldblum. Anyway, should we jump into ratings on this?
Sure.
Do you have more to say?
Tom, do you want to start out and surprise the crowd?
So, I'll give this movie a good.
I'm actually surprised you're getting a good.
And here's my reason. I dislike watching the movie so much that it deserves less than that, but the movie technically is well done. It's very skillful, and honestly, I think there's a lot of lost potential with this movie. But then there are also just so many memorable scenes. I know Matt's a big fan of the lobster scene.
Yep, classic. The cocaine.
Yeah, there's
good.
The scene with the spider is really funny. He comes over to the apartment to kill a spider, And
I like that we never see the spider.
Yeah,
that's not a spoiler. I love that we never see it.
It's such a funny, like, perfect little moment, and those are the moments that I like. But again, there's just too much about these characters that I find unlikable. That it brings the movie down a lot for me.
I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I really like this movie. I do, like you said, I prefer Woody Allen's earlier films, but this one it's just a classic. I like it a lot. The love story is fun for me, I think, because I'm not a big rom-comedy type person. I don't like romantic films, but this is realistic enough where I actually really enjoy it.
All right. I'm giving it 8.6 out of 10. I think it is a classic. I think everyone should see it at some point. It's something you need to see. It's definitely not my top 100 favorite films or anything like that, but it's something that I'll watch multiple times, and I really enjoy it. I like Woody Allen generally, and I like Annie Hall a lot. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it certainly does feel like an important film, especially to see kind of the influence on later films too.
Right.
I mean,
Right, and a lot of movies pay homage to that. Even
Right.
22 Jump Street had a scene
Yeah.
from Annie Hall.
And I mean,
It's
especially
way over those people's heads.
especially if you like, the Noah Baumbach stuff. Like, it's
Oh yeah,
definitely important to go back and watch this movie.
definitely. Anyway, we got to go or watch it or don't. Hey, if you have any suggestions for classic movies for us to review, let us know in the comments. We will try to get to them soon. We got to go or watch it or don't. And be sure to subscribe. We'll see you next time.